Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for joining in again. This is going to be part 2 of our northbound manifest running from Coxton to Billery and then on to Johnsville. So today we're actually going to do our block swap in Billery real quick, and then after that we're going to go ahead and head out north, and we will be rail fanning along the way as we head up to Johnsville. As we go north from here, we'll be passing through some picturesque countrysides. We've got actually three towns to get through, and then we're going to make it into Johnsville, into the major classification yard and hump yard there. So nice experience. Sit tight, enjoy yourself, and we'll have some calm narration as we go through some key points along the route. Alright, first things first, we're going to go ahead and get our locomotives off the cut here and store them over off the yard lead. Once we get this move done, we will go ahead and grab our 2 yard goats and bring those over and start pulling the cut. Alright, so the way this works, we're going to go ahead and pull our yard goats down, and then we'll get connected to the cut here, and we're going to go ahead and pull the entire cut forward. This will require us to get out into the next control point, which is South Billery, just behind the camera here, and that's alright. That's part of the reason we have that control point there, is it does allow for some extended switching of this yard when needed, which is very helpful. Hit my brake a little early there by accident. Once we connect, we're going to go ahead and pull forward all the cars that are going to get put into this yard. And if you remember at the start of the last video, we went ahead and blocked this train, so this move is going to be rather fast. We're going to go ahead and connect up, pull the cut forward, and then we will be cutting one set of cars, probably almost 20 cars, I think. But they're all going to be together already, which is the best part about it. It makes this move really fast. We definitely had a hard time getting this cut moving. Completely understandable with just 2 SW1500s. This is like a 3,000 ton cut here, so I am not surprised that it took quite a bit of effort there. Alright, now that we have all the car tags up, we can see at what point we're going to need to cut the train. And looking at the cut right now, all the MEs, the SHs, the FUs, the BI, oh yeah, there's ME again, there's another FU, all those go here to the yard. But sure enough, when you look at those coal hoppers back there, we have some JOSs, and those are going to Johnsville. So we're going to cut the train right after this bulkhead with the white tarp load, and we will shove those back onto the loop track, which is track 8, and just kind of hold those off for now, so we can go ahead and get this train out of our yard. Ideally, we want to make this move as quickly as possible so we can get this train out, because typically the way it works is about by the time you get this train worked, you've got another one coming in either behind it or from the other direction that's going to have to be worked by this yard as well. So this yard stays very, very busy. Spent some time here looking at how many feet of train we have in the yard track 1 that serves the northbound trains, and it turns out that we have about 50 feet to spare if we were to grab the whole cut that's sitting in that yard. So normally because of how many cars you're dropping off, you always have to take usually just part of that track. You can't usually empty the whole track. However, I haven't really put a lot of traffic in this yard yet, so for us today, we're actually going to end up taking all of track 1 and shoving it back and connecting up to our train sitting on track 0 right here. And then we'll have a new train that's just under 3,000 feet and ready to head north. All right, we are now pulling our last cut out, and as soon as we get this coupled to the front and shoved back in place, we'll pull the road power out, get the road power back connected, and do our brake test, and then we'll be ready to head north. Real struggle right here to get started. We're at notch 6 starting out, which is just wild. Just might be the first time I've ever done that in trains, actually. Alright, we are bringing our road power back nice and easy. We'll get the couple, do our air brake tests, and then we will page the dispatcher and get some clearance out of here. Well, this is our entrance into CP North Billery. Yeah, almost said South Billery. This is CP North Billery. We have a couple of grade crossings to blow through, and then we're going to be crossing back over the Arkansas River to the, I guess this would be the North Bank, and then we'll continue to head north. And here we are, crossing back over the Arkansas River. Although the bridge itself is done and looks fantastic, there is still quite a bit of scenery that needs to be fine-tuned here along the riverbed. Right now, this is just kind of roughed in, but still, that bridge is very nice span there. Well, it looks like we are clear out of CP North Billery, and we're going to head through the hills here up to CP Heiligers, and we'll see what happens up there. Well, here at milepost 29.1 we have an approach medium. This is telling us that we are either going to take the siding up ahead or that we're not going to be able to pass through the control point on the north side because our next signal is going to show an approach indication of some point. And sure enough, there it is. We have a diverging approach. We are taking the diverge, and we have to be ready to stop at the next signal. Far in the background, you can see our train coming around the curve here. This control point is one of the hardest ones to drive through, simply because if you do get stopped here, which we are, sometimes you might have a bit of a challenge getting started at the top of this grade here. The grade itself is not that large, but currently we're not running very high horsepower locomotives. These three locomotives that we have together just have a little bit more horsepower than some of the modern day diesel locomotives that you see out there by themselves. So getting this 3,000 ton train started from a stop could be potentially a bit of a challenge. I have actually stalled trains here before, so I've tried to measure out, about how many tons different consists of locomotives can pull up, but we'll see what happens when we get started next time. Well, here we are at the north end of CP Heiligers, and now we're going to sit and play the waiting game. Like they say on the railroad, hurry up and wait. Seems this is the reason that we're being held up. We've got a southbound manifest coming up in front of us. This is still about 10 miles ahead, so it's going to be a bit of a wait. Well, it turns out the dispatcher has decided he is going to go ahead and clear us up to the next control point, just because we still have some time. He thinks we can make it. So we're going to go ahead and cut the brakes, push the throttle up, and see if we can get moving. A little bit of a false start there, but I think we got it this time. According to the dispatcher, we are clear up to CP Brock, which is the next one. It's about 3 or 4 miles ahead. Looking at our ammeter here, we are currently maxed out on allowable amps, so if we were to notch up any more, we would immediately get some wheel slip. So we're going to sit right here and notch 4 and just take our time. Well, looks like the dispatcher made a good choice. He must be a pro. If you look in the background there, you can see our meat coming up on the main. All the control points on this route have track marks on the main and the siding at both the north and south end, so that you can do cool things like this right here where you are driving a train yourself and you can use the AI to drive the other. And you can tell it to go to either the north or south side of the control point on either the main or the siding. You can set your meat up yourself, just like if you were the dispatcher. And it's just as easy as right-clicking on the locomotive and telling him to drive to the next thing. So this guy, let's send him all the way to Billery North. So CP North Billery. Oops, keep missing it. There it is. And let's see, we wanted him to go ahead and go to the south side, but we want him to go on the siding because he's going to go into into Munson Yard. So CP North Billery, south siding. And off he goes. Just like that. Beautiful. There's still a lot of scenery to be added here along the trackside, but like previously, a lot of it's roughed in already, so it still looks pretty good. But this will definitely look much better when it's finally done. Since this is just a private crossing, we only ever give them a horn if there's someone nearby. So since we're over here railfanning, we're getting our friendly alert from our engineer as he goes by. In the background, we have the Brockwell paper mill. This paper mill sources most of its own logs. We do, however, ship in wood chips into the paper mill for the things that it needs. Outside, of course, then the logs, because it's going to have its own logs for other purposes. Paper is not the only thing at a paper mill that's going to use wood. And then off to the right, kind of off camera, is the actual town of Brockwell, which gets its own local. Plus, it's served by the way freight that comes through to work all the co-ops, because Brockwell has its own co-op in town. This is the furthest town away from the yard in Johnsville that is served by that yard. Here we are passing through the town of Castlegate and CP Castle. We're going to keep on highballing right through town here. There is no work for us to do until we get to Johnsville. Castlegate does have a massive set of industries, however, and so it does get a considerably sized local that comes in on the daily to switch out cars. But there is so much movement of traffic within just this one town that it has its own local switcher, so that the local can just come in, drop cars, and leave. Otherwise, we'd be outlawing local crews all day long. Even though the scenery is not quite done, just to give you some perspective, here are two of those main industries we're talking about. This is a bleach plant. I know for certain it takes salt and a couple of other inputs, hydrogen and nitrogen, and it ends up making bleach. And then the other plant here, I believe, is an ammonia plant, if I remember correctly, and it synthesizes liquid ammonia from different compounds. Both very busy industries that ship their goods out to several other industries on the route. Very important industries here for making intermediate products. Well, it's at this point that we head into the town of Moscow. Moscow is a very significant city, I guess town, on this route, as it is where the KCS merges, and then we have some interchange, but also there are a ton of industries here in Moscow, and it got so competitive in our railroad's brief history that the KCS and the St. Louis Southwestern got together and created a short line and split the ownership 50-50. And that short line is called the Moscow Industrial, and it serves the industries here in Moscow so that there's fair competition between the two railroads. Here we're looking at a few of the industries in Moscow. Moscow Station is off to the right. The KCS interchange is far off to the right. And then the yard that you see a little bit center right is actually one of two Moscow industrial switch yards. The call sign for the railroad is the Mosi, M-O-S-I, and so this is actually the Mosi East Yard. In the background here you can see the KCS and Mosi East Yard. When I spoke earlier that the East Yard was over here next to the SP main, I was actually incorrect. That's the West Yard. So to the right of the camera here is the West Yard, but back in the background, that's the KCS interchange and the Mosi East Yard. Here in a second, we're going to cross under the flyover. That's one of the unique things about the Moscow Industrial is that it has a flyover over the Southern Pacific Main. Here we are at the flyover. There is still quite a bit of scenery work to be done here in Moscow, but for the most part, the buildings and the main city plan is kind of laid out. But this is going to be a very, very busy area on the route. I've even considered making this short line kind of a route all to itself, just because it has so much to do and has so much things of interest. This last downgrade right here is our last move before we get into the city of Johnsville. This is where we will terminate our train. This is also the end of the scenery. Currently, I have still a lot of work to do with Johnsville, but I've definitely got all the track work laid out. The operation system is set up. It's just I got to finish the detail work. Well, here we come into the arrival yard in Johnsville. This is where we will cut the video, so thank you again for joining today. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys will make sure to leave a like and comment. Make sure to subscribe. I really appreciate you guys being here and enjoying the show. Please make sure and stay tuned for more videos. I'm not going to show the breakdown of the train in the hump yard today, but I will have some videos coming out eventually, kind of once I get this area done for the most part.